Welcome to the Forbidden Land podcast. It's gay month. Woo! To start off gay month, we got the nastiest fucking water you've ever seen. In Atlanta, there was a big water leak. And the east side of Atlanta now is under a boil advisory because the water is contaminated. So here's their little update from yesterday, or I guess, June 5th. And they're saying, water's been restored, but we're still under a boil advisory. And so you might be thinking like, oh, so it's all good, right? It's all good? My friend Sam posted this on Twitter. This is what the water looks like in East Atlanta. Holy shit. Dude, this is fucking crazy looking. This is like, there was a water contamination problem at my high school. I think like my sophomore year. No, junior year. And all the water looked like this. Like all of it looked like this. And it's just that's so gross. People used to say it tasted like milky. People used to say that they could like taste the grains of whatever the fuck was in it. Some people used to say it tasted like chemicals. It's just so gross. Like, even if you like, what are you getting out of the water with a boil? Like, if you boil this, what is coming out of that? You know? It's so gross. They're like, oh, like, boil advisory, to make the water safer to drink. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is what it looks like after it was boiled. How fucking crazy is that? There are people in East Atlanta who can't afford drinking water. Like, can't afford packs of water to buy in the meantime. That or they can and their store is sold out of it. So it's like, I can't drink this on camera. Fuck! It's from a local shop. Fucking Christ. I can't even drink my own water on camera. But so, there are people who can't afford bottled water, and so they're stuck with their tap water, and it looks like that. That's just so disgusting and so, like, dangerous. It says someone liked my tweet. What the hell? Someone liked my response? No way. So that's what's going on in East Atlanta. That shit's crazy, dude. That's such a big area too, and it's not even like just East Atlanta. Like, you might be thinking like, oh, it's the east side, it's this small piece of Atlanta. No. It's like 5 Points, Cabbage Town, anywhere like east of the interstate, pretty much. That's like Midtown and all that. It's basically just Midtown and like the whole east side. It's a huge area. It's where a lot of people live, dude. Like, that's the whole residential district. If it happened on the west side, that's one thing. That's all like businesses, like the CNN Center, the Centennial Olympic Park, America Mart, the stadium, all that stuff. That's not even a problem. Those are businesses. They all have like their own filtration systems, whatever. There's not a whole lot of people living on that side of the city. That's all like downtown stuff. Midtown, though, and like the east side of Atlanta, that's where all the people live. Like, that's also the more impoverished part. Sorry, my mustache is looking real cartoony right now. That's the more impoverished part of the city too. So, I mean, that's like extra fucked that their water is all fucked up. God, my hair's having a weird thing going on today. I have like these little curls on the front. But yeah, that's just horrible. I don't understand. Like, biggest city in the southeast, we don't have a backup plan for when there's a flood, because the water pipe broke. I don't have any like backup plans there. I'm just a little bewildered here as to how that even happens. Um so another weird thing, so there's been a lot of something's really disturbing me about um what is this? Something's been really disturbing me about the um what even is this? So something's really disturbing about the rise of AI and the materials that are used to fuel that AI. And so recently, I forgot which AI company is doing it, but Google is essentially allowing this AI company to take transcripts from like a million different YouTube videos and use them to train their AI. Now, with some platforms, it's in their terms of service that whatever you post on there, you give that platform permission to use it in any way they want, like marketing materials and stuff like that. YouTube, though, is a bit of a special case because you have pretty much full exclusive rights over the content that you post. Like, you have full copyright over that. And so I think like Ludwig was the one that brought it up, that there's an interesting copyright discussion to be had in regards to the in regards to the rights that AI companies have over your transcripts. You might argue like, oh, it's just the transcript, it's just words. It's just like the written form of what you said in the video. What if we took like movie scripts and did the same thing? Because then, I feel like you could argue that, oh, well, that's infringement because somebody wrote that. That's written material, And in a lot of cases, people are writing these YouTube videos and then recording what they wrote. So, it's like taking multiple novels and compiling them into an AI service. Surely there is a claim to be made that is a copyright infringement. And I think what we're going to see is that we're going to see the federal government at some point. I'm saying this with a grain of salt because they haven't done this with crypto yet. And we've been saying they might regulate crypto, but they haven't really done that very efficiently. What I'm thinking is that the federal government's going to step in and impose these federal regulations. Or I'm not saying they're going to do it. They should do this, where you have to have express permission. You have to have basically like very clear and written permission to take the material that you're using and compile it into these AI services. Because in some way, it's copyright infringement to take artwork and compile it into AI, to take written material and compile it in AI, to take transcripts and compile it. If someone took every episode of this podcast and compiled it into an AI service to be like, ask Dane a question, this is what Dane would respond with in a theoretical sense. We took all the transcripts from his podcasts and all of his live streams and compiled it into this this AI learning service, then I would have a pretty big issue with that. I mean, that's a copyright infringement in my opinion. I didn't give anyone permission to use my words to compile a machine that will basically function as me. It'd be the same thing if someone made a copy of my voice, I would have some issues with that to some extent. Because I'd be like, I don't want you using my voice. And I bring all this up because Adobe released a new terms of service for their cloud services, where now they say that clarified that we may access they clarify in the terms of service that they, quote, may access your content through both automated and manual methods, such as for content review. What that means is end quote. What that means is basically that and this guy's posting about it, is that anything you upload to the Creative Cloud, they can basically look at it. I don't know if this is for AI. I don't know if this is for their own purposes. I don't know what this could be for. I assume it's AI. Because what other reason what they have to look at your content. This person brings up a good point. Anything you have under NDA for your clients, if you're a creative, a lawyer, a doctor, or anyone who works with proprietary files, it's time to cancel it. He says it's time to cancel Adobe. So, yeah, what do you do if you have something that's under NDA? Should Adobe be allowed to see that? Should they be allowed to use that in any sort of way? There was another guy's tweet I saw. Oh God, what was that I just saw? Oh no, what is this? What the fuck? That looks like AI, ironically enough. There was another guy's tweet where he said that he's working on a movie and that they are pretty much fully able to see this NDA project that he's working on through this new policy. I don't even know if I can find it. Yeah, this guy said, Sam Santala said, so am I reading this right? I can't use Photoshop unless I'm okay with you having full access to anything I create with it, including NDA work. And it includes their new terms of service. So yeah, this person says, isn't it neat how they can change the legal agreement after you signed it and paid? So in a way, that's kind of the whole like subscription model, right? Is that every time you renew the subscription, you're re-agreeing to the terms of service. This guy said, I can't even uninstall Photoshop unless I agree to these terms. At that point, you just need to manually uninstall it, like by deleting the files. Realizing I need to agree to the terms if I want to cancel my subscription. Damn, so they're locking the whole thing down. So yeah, that it what was that? It just said I suggested something. So yeah, it brings up this interesting question. That should these major companies be able to take your work and use it in their AI models? That's what I assume the Adobe thing is for, because what other reason would they have to be able to see your work? We have no clarification on this as far as I'm aware as of time of the recording. Let me see if they've given any comment. Have they released a comment on this? We reached out for a comment and we'll update with any response. So they haven't said anything? Wow. Yeah, I want to know why they're doing this. I don't use the Creative Cloud. I use Premiere, but I don't upload any of my projects to the cloud. So all my files are local. They have no idea what I'm doing on Premiere. And I sometimes use the media encoder. Same thing. I don't upload anything to the cloud. I use After Effects sometimes. I use Photoshop very sparingly. I'm mostly a Paint.net kind of guy, because I don't do anything that is too advanced for Paint.net. But, all my stuff is local. But for the people that use the cloud to share their projects with other people, to share, or, like to sync it with the cloud. So, like, let's say they want to work on it on another machine, or have somebody else, touch the project while they're not able to work on it. Something like that. People that use that service, I mean, now Adobe has full permission to just view it whenever they want. In a way, if it's for AI, then, in a way they can now take your work and just upload it to this system that will now, recompile it and use it for generative purposes, which you didn't give any permission to. I guess in a way it's like unspoken permission, because you had to agree to the terms to keep using the service. Here's my opinion on that. I think it should be illegal to force a terms of service on someone like that. Fine, deny them access to the cloud, but let them keep using the service locally if they don't, agree to the terms. I think it's absolutely bullshit that you have to agree to a terms of service for a product that is offline. Agree to a terms that only changes stuff that applies to the online component. But then again, that also kneecaps all these creatives because they use the cloud. Let's say I use the cloud for Premiere. Let's say I used it because I actually really do like the concept that they have for Premiere on the Creative Cloud. I just don't use it because I don't need to. But like, you can upload your project to that system. I could go to someone else's house who has Premiere, who's connected to my stuff, open that project on their computer. I think this is how it works, at least. I could be talking out my ass. Open the project on their computer, keep editing, save it, close it, open the project on my computer. It's right where I left off on theirs, and then continue on with the project. I think that's sick as fuck in concept. But, now these people can't really use it because they're being forced to give Adobe full permission to access it whenever they feel like it, which violates NDAs. I feel like the movie industry is going to have something to say about that, right? I mean, Adobe customers have been getting shafted for years. They have to now pay a subscription fee instead of just paying for a perpetual license. They have to, if you use Photoshop, you have to pay to use Pantone colors. Even if you own like the chips and all that stuff, like you have to use those colors and all that. Now you have to pay a subscription to use them in Photoshop. I think all that shit is horseshit. There needs to be another competitor in the market. I know Avid exists, but Final Cut is kind of dated at this point. I think the only thing Avid has over Premiere right now is Pro Tools, because Adobe Audition or whatever it's called sucks dick. So, I think Avid has Pro Tools, but they need to really beef up Final Cut. And I feel like there needs to be better options out there. iMovie definitely needs to step it up. I mean, come on, Apple. Can you beef up iMovie to be a more professional grade software? Like, I know they work with Adobe and they've optimized Adobe pretty well on Mac. I've used Adobe Premiere on Mac. In my film class, we had Premiere on iMacs. Oh my God, it's so smooth and it's so good. It's optimized really well. But I definitely feel like Apple needs to beef up iMovie in a way that it could compete with Premiere. We just need more competitors. It's too much of a monopoly. It's like you either use Premiere, Final Cut, or like Camtasia, Sony Vegas, like all these smaller editors that don't work as well. Camtasia has its limits. I mean, I used to edit with Camtasia, and my God, dude, like, oh, you want to render out in 60 FPS? No. I'm only able to do that now because I use Premiere. All the podcast episodes are in 60 FPS for no reason, by the way, other than I just don't want to change the preset. But there's not enough competition in the space to push Adobe to not do shit like this. It reminds me of like Xbox, how Xbox is seemingly shutting down now as a console company and turning more into a game studio. And that's not good news for people that use PlayStation, because PlayStation players that look, I love PlayStation, but the console gamers are fucking pea-brain, like the average console gamer, not all of them. The average console gamer is like a pea-brain moron that doesn't understand anything about markets. They will happily pay a subscription fee for online services despite Sony and Microsoft barely contributing anything to the online components of the games. They'll happily pay those fees. PlayStation enjoyed years of free online gaming, and now you pretty much have to pay a fee like Xbox Live Gold to play PlayStation Online games. But, with Xbox being gone, now Sony can, like, raise the price on PlayStation Plus. They can offer less features. They don't have to push their consoles as hard anymore to be better. I mean, the PS6 could just be a refresh of the PS5 with slightly better specs, and you'll happily pay $500 for it because there's no alternative. So, there just needs to be more competition in the space. You know, if you know, people love capitalism until it turns into a monopoly, which is what capitalism naturally turns into, is just a bunch of monopolies where you only have that option. Amazon is a good example of that. You know, Apple is a good example of that. How there's like only like 3 major phone companies, which is like Android, Apple. So I guess Android would be like Samsung, Apple, and then Google. And Google's like barely in there. The major console players now are Sony, Nintendo, and like PC players. But there is no like central PC company, you know? So, it's not good for anybody when all this competition starts dying off because these companies are growing faster than they can sustain. The idea that companies have to grow, you know, it not only does that shorten their profits enough to where then they go, oh fuck, we grew too big, and then they have to close a bunch of shit down. You know, it's just get to a point where you're sustainable and then stay there. This whole thing with the Xbox company trying to grow, acquiring all these studios, look at what it's done to them. They go, oh, well, we still need our big profit margins. So now instead of simply paying our executives less to make room for more profits, we're going to close these indie studios. Like that indie studio that they recently closed that won like a game award for their game, you know. So all because, you know, oh, we need more money for these executives. Oh, we need more money to give to Bethesda. Yeah, I think there was an interesting theory that, and I subscribe to this theory, that the reason why they have to close all these indie studios lately is because they put all this money and investment into Starfield, or what was it called? Starfield or something like that? Starfield. Yeah, Starfield. That Bethesda game. They put all this investment into Bethesda's Starfield game, and then it flopped like really hard. Yeah, it has a 67% on Google. it just flopped because it has a 6 out of 10 on Steam. Because it's made on the same shitty engine that like Fallout 4 ran on, has the same bugs that Bethesda games always have, and it's just like a lackluster space game. You know, this game's been teased since I was a fucking like sophomore in high school, and here I am as a adult in his early 20s, and this game comes out after all this time of anticipation, and it sucks dick. So yeah, I don't know what to say, man. Competition is necessary, and all these monopolies suck. And you know, Adobe is really fucked for doing this, and I think AI is going to be a bit of our downfall. So, what are people saying? Oh my god, dude! If I have to hear another word about the fucking Acolyte show, I want to talk about the Acolyte. And then we'll move on to the gay stuff. In a way, they go hand in hand. So I've been watching The Acolyte. There's 2 episodes out right now. And I like it. I was, you know, kind of worried about it because it looked kind of boring in the trailers. And this guy on Twitter watched it early and said that it reminds him of Obi-Wan, like the Obi-Wan series, and I was like, oh god, please don't tell me it's going to be like Obi-Wan. And I think the only thing I didn't like was the first scene where she tries to kill a Jedi. I liked it, but I just don't like the choreography with the lightsaber part where she goes to cut down all the throwing knives. That was the only thing I didn't like. And it's because it felt very I've never held a melee weapon in my life kind of thing. Everything else was cool. I liked all the force stuff. I liked all the acrobatic moves. It makes sense that they would be using the force to enhance their acrobatic skills. I think that shit's sick. I just didn't like the ignite the lightsaber in the very like stilted just woom, woom, woom. And like she clearly threw more than 3 knives. That's the only thing I didn't like. And it's because they wanted the actress with her face on screen. And she's a, you know, an older actress who I guess just doesn't have a lot of training with that field. I guess I don't know her I don't know her filmography or anything, but it just seems like they didn't really prep her very well for handling a lightsaber. That's the only thing that I wasn't a fan of, and it was in the trailers a lot, which is what gave me that impression that the series was not going to be very good. That's the thing. They were like so proud of that scene. I just don't think they realized that the lightsaber bit didn't look that good. Other than that, I loved the rest of the episode, and I loved the second episode too. I like the era that we're in. I like the setting. I like that it's setting up that, you know, we're still in the High Republic era, but it's definitely, you can see the cracks forming that we're entering into more of the Phantom Menace type of era, where the Jedi are very dogmatic and follow the code to a T and like shun people out of the Order for, you know, straying away from that code to any extent. I do like that we're starting to see that form, and I like the show overall so far. The problem is that now we have these shitbags on Twitter. I've noticed that anytime you say you like a Star Wars project, even if it's a little mid, people call you a shill. Like they think you're being paid by Disney. I'm sorry, if I was being paid by Disney, my ass would be living alone, like on my own with my girlfriend in an apartment. You would not see the same room I've lived in since I was a child. You know, if I was being paid by Disney, they better be giving me the big bucks to defend shit like Kenobi. or or defend shit like Mandalorian season 2. They better be paying me the big bucks for that one. Or paying me to defend Rebels. Oof. I love Rebels. Oh yeah. Give me the check. I just like the Acolyte so far. It's a cool show. The High Republic seems like a neat era. I'm not too like familiar with the way that the books go because I don't own any of the books. Like if you look at my shelf, that era is just not very well known to me. I have the Aftermath trilogy. I have the what is it called? Heir to the Empire trilogy. The Thrawn, you know, the original Thrawn trilogy is on that shelf. I have the Dooku book. I have like a bunch of Legends novels and stuff, like Old Republic books. I like that stuff. I've never bought any High Republic books. I guess I better start. Because I like the outfits. I like the lore that they're building up with. That one bald Jedi that's the same species as like Luminara. Apparently she's like almost 200 years old according to the canon, which is pretty nuts. I didn't know that species even lived that long. But I think it's all cool. But now we have people on Twitter being like, like when the Trade Federation ship's shield generator caught on fire. They're like, oh, look, you know, there's fire in space and it's making fire noises. So if you watch that scene, one, there's been fires in space. When they, fired on that capital ship in, I think it was Return of the Jedi. That or it was Empire. I don't remember which original trilogy movie it was, but they fire on a ship and it's on fire and you watch it like start to plummet into another ship. But it stays on fire the whole time it's going down. In the Clone Wars, there's constantly times where they blow up parts of capital ships and the capital ships are on fire for the whole battle. You know, so this is, you know, established lore. The fire noises in the scene, first of all, you can hear TIE fighters in space in Star Wars. There's even quotes from George Lucas saying, you know, him acknowledging, yeah, I kind of made it a thing in Star Wars that you could hear sounds in space. And then he like kind of regrets that, but it's established lore. But the campfire, that's what they call it, a campfire noise. The fire noise from the Trade Federation ship isn't coming from the ship. It's coming from her like force flashback that she's getting to her childhood, her like PTSD moment. So you have all these morons on Twitter that have like never watched a Star Wars project in their life, or haven't watched the Clone Wars in forever, or haven't watched the OT in forever, just finding anything to complain about. Once you see them complaining about fire on a Trade Federation ship in space, you know they're cooked. Like, you know that the Acolyte is a pretty solid show if that's their biggest complaint. And especially when there are legitimate complaints to be made about the show. The only one I have so far is that I didn't like that one lightsaber bit that happened in the first 5 minutes of the show that went on for 3 seconds. That's literally, it's just a nitpick that you can easily look past. There's cool lore in the show. I love the aesthetic. I love the visuals. I love the costumes. I love the whole themes going on with the Jedi Order here. All of it's cool. I love the theory that the main Sith Lord is the merchant guy that's working with May. I love that theory. But yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand these people that complain. And then now I'm seeing this tweet where they're crying about the actress going on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah 2 years ago to talk about some project she was on. Or no, 5 years ago. My bad. 5 years ago. Talking about the Hate U Give thing. What is the Hate U Give? It's a movie? So yeah, it's a movie about black issues and, you know, deals with race issues. She went on an interview with Trevor Noah, and I guess she said something about white people.
When people watch The Hate You Give, what do you want them to walk away with? Because I know everyone has a slightly different feeling.
Well, I mean, white people crying actually was the goal.
It's like clearly a joke.
It was the goal.
Well, when people watch The Hate You...
Look, I'm white. I gotta be real. Y'all are sensitive fucking little babies. Oh my God. Grow up. Get real. Dude, like, grow a spine. White people are so sensitive in that region. Like, in that region of politics. Dude, right-wing white people, left-wing white people, they know. They know what privilege we have and that we should just be able to turn the other cheek and take a joke from people who are historically discriminated against. And, you know, like, we know what position we have in society. A little joke here and there, it's not going to bother us. Watching The Hate You Give, you know, it's not going to make me cry tears of, oh, I can't believe black, you know, they're calling me racist. I'm not crying out of being offended. I might be crying out of, like, it being like a cool movie. You know, there might be a moment I guess I would cry during it. I don't know what it's about, like, really, other than racial issues in the country. But all I gotta say, dude, is, my God, these people are fucking babies, dude. I mean, look at this. White people are more likely to get jobs. When a white person and a black person apply for a job, a white person is way more likely to get that job. That's just statistics. And it's due to underlying racial bias. You know, we're more likely to make more likely to make more money than a black person doing the same job. You know, there is a racial wealth gap. You know, the majority of impoverished people in this country are people of color, and that's due to the system working against them. It's due to generations and generations and centuries of slavery, then Jim Crow, then subtle racial discrimination after Jim Crow. You know, that's been very documented with, like, the drug war, you know, the way that police departments are trained in this country with just, like, subtle racial bias. So, as a leftist white person, I know what position and privilege I hold in this society. So when someone goes on when a black actress goes on the Daily Show promoting her movie that's clearly about racial issues, and she goes, the goal was to make white people cry, I laugh. I go, yeah, I guess so. This shit doesn't offend me. It really doesn't. It's the same principle behind, like, if somebody called me a cracker, I'd be like, it's kind of funny. Someone calls me a honky. Dude, I love calling white people honkies. I'll tell you what. I love saying that shit. That shit's so funny. Calling someone a honky. I learned that from a Tom Segura special. A Tom Segura stand-up special. He was talking about white racial slurs that he learned about. Oh my God, honky is so funny. I call my friends honkies. I've called my dad a honky. It's just funny, you know? If you're getting upset as a white person at people of color saying shit about white people, grow up, cry me a river. It's not a big deal. It's really not. You know, let them say it. It's funny. Let them say it. What is that doing to you? How does that offend you? You know? Like, you know, when black people get called the N-word, there's real racial history behind that. There's like a certain power behind that word. There's clearly like a power thing going on there. You know, black people are the minority in this country. They're more likely to be arrested for crimes. They're more likely to be arrested for the same crimes that white people commit. You know, way more likely to be arrested than a white person for the same crimes. Way more likely to get lengthier sentences or harsher sentences than white people for the same crimes. Way, you know, like I said before, way less likely to get the same job as a white person. If they do have the same job as a white person, they're way less likely to be paid the same amount. White people way more likely to be stopped by the police, way more likely to get ticketed by the police, way more likely to be killed by the police. There's so many things that, you know, there's so much power that white people have over people of color that, you know, there's a real consequence and weight to when they use racial slurs against black people versus when a person of color uses a racial slur, I don't know, racial term against white people. It's just the power imbalance. It's there's just no reason to get mad at that as a white person. There really isn't. I think Hassan said it's like he sees it as like a way for a person of color to blow off steam, just to take it out in some way that lets them blow off steam, and that it just doesn't bother them. It doesn't bother me either. I just don't see why it would. Dude, if somebody like that interview doesn't bother me. I laughed at it. It's funny. You know why I laugh at it? Because it doesn't apply to me. That's the ultimate thing there. Is that it doesn't apply to me. That when, you know, someone says, oh, like, white people be like, you know, and then they're like, oh, white people don't know what lotion is. I laugh because I do know what lotion is. And I use that shit. I moisturize. And so I laugh at it. Because I'm not the white person they're talking about. They're talking about the stereotypical white person. And, like, to be honest, if I ask any of my white family members if they use moisturizer, most of them are going to go, no. Most of them don't own lotion. You know? So it's like, yeah, I just laugh. It's funny. The same thing can be applied to, like, the man versus bear debate. All these men getting upset that women would choose to be around a bear rather than them. It's like, yeah, you're kind of the reason why they choose the bear if you get upset at that shit. Because more than likely you hold some misogynistic view of women, or you hold some kind of opinion that you have power over women to some extent, and they're not comfortable with that. They're not comfortable being in the same room as you. You know, that debate doesn't bother me. It makes me sad for the women that feel like they are safer around a bear than men. You know, that makes me sad. It does. I wish they didn't feel like that. That is a really sad thing to feel. But I don't get upset over it because I'm not the man in that scenario. I'm not the man that they're thinking of, you know, the dangerous man they can't be left alone in a room with. I am not that person. And so it doesn't upset me. You know, if they choose the bear, so be it. You know, it just gives me more reason to be pissed and, you know, infuriated by the men that make them feel like that. So I don't understand if you get mad at people making generalizations about men or making generalizations about white people, you more than likely are the person they're talking about. You know, if you're getting upset at it and you're not those people, quit getting upset at it because they're not talking about you. You know, if my girlfriend goes, "Ugh, I fucking hate men," she's not talking about me. She loves me. You know, but she's not talking about me specifically. She's talking about her image of the average man. You know, the misogynistic, ignorant, asshole men. That's who she's talking about. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that because it's really annoying when I see people doing that, like on Twitter specifically. Excuse me. When I see men being like, you know, oh, like, or white people being like, oh, this black person went on an interview and said they want to make white people cry. That's so racist. It's like, it's not really racist. Like, I guess when you get really down to the specific definitions, yes, if the roles were reversed, then they would be called racist. But I think in a way there's certain nuances to that where the power imbalance makes it generally okay to say stuff like that about white people. As a person of color, I say it as a white person all the time, dude. I'm like, dude, more than likely the average white person I talk to has some kind of racial bias. I get uncomfortable talking about Palestine in front of white people because I don't know if they're pro-Israel or not. It's just, but like, you know, I just don't know. I just have to generally assume most white people I encounter, especially down here in the South, are racist. Unless they make it obvious that they're not racist, I just automatically assume they are. You know? So it's Pride Month. Yay. It's the 9th year that gay marriage has been legalized nationwide. Or at least, like, legalized. It's not codified into law. It's about as legal as Roe v. Wade used to be, which we already know how fragile that shit is. So it's court precedent that it's allowed. Technically, nothing stops a office from denying you a marriage license. It's just you'd have to like take him to court. But I'm being negative. It's the 9th anniversary of legalized gay marriage. I made a video about it back when it was legalized. But you know, it's Pride Month. As a fellow LGBTer, I would like to say happy Pride Month, guys. There's a lot of weird discourse around Pride events. There's like this subsect of people trying to say like bi women shouldn't be allowed or shouldn't let their straight boyfriends come to Pride with them. Something's really odd about that. There was a guy that made a funny video about it. I wonder if I have it. Because it's like, why are we gatekeeping Pride events from allies? This is a guy that is clearly an ally because he's dating a woman that is LGBT. And so, like, why are we... It might have actually been on TikTok. Why are we not down with straight people being at Pride if they're allies? Okay. I don't want that shit to play. Oh my god, it's Jonas. Y'all watch TikTok, you know who Jonas is. Yeah, here, I'm trying to see if my name will show up. I don't think it will. Look at this shit. This dude's sick as fuck. I love this guy's videos. But there was a guy talking about it where he said that it's weird that we're like gatekeeping pride events. Yeah. Here it is. Hold on.
I absolutely love the whole bi women need to leave their boyfriends at home if they're going to Pride discourse right now, because like it ignores so many major things going on. Like, first of all, do we just not allow allies at Pride anymore? Is that just not a thing? Is this not like fascist Pride? We're gonna have like a checkpoint at the entrance where we have to prove how gay we are to enter or some shit? Like, what, are you gonna go run up to somebody's straight parents who are at Pride because they're there supporting their trans child, but they look straight to you and you don't feel that they should be there? So you need.
This is exactly my point, dude. If I go to a pride event, so I'm bisexual and non-binary to some extent. I go by like they, them, he, him pronouns. I don't view myself as a boy, but I don't mind the pronouns for boys. It just makes it easier, and I don't have to explain it to people. Like anytime they say he or him about me, then I don't have to be like, actually, it's they, them. But like, let's say I go to a pride event. Are people gonna like question? Because I'm generally straight passing. Unless you like speak to me, then it's pretty obvious that I'm, it's to some extent LGBT. The way that I talk, my mannerisms, and all that. It's pretty obvious that I'm pretty ambiguous. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if I go to a pride event, am I gonna get like snuffed out? And that's I didn't even think about the parent thing. Yeah, there's probably gonna be like parents of trans children at these events, and it's like, are you just not gonna let them be there? I think it's this subsect of people being like, this is like our safe space. But in years past, I've always seen that straight people are more than allowed to be at pride events because it's seen as like an ally thing, right? Like, you're there to show support, or you're there with somebody who's gay or bi or lesbian or something, or trans. And, you want to be there with them. So it's like, why are we even having this conversation?
You need to tell them that? Like, what? No, get your head out of your ass. Secondly, because you guys always love to forget this, bisexual men exist too. And we happen to be in relationships with bisexual women and straight women as well. I don't hear any, bi men need to leave their straight girlfriends at home for Pride discourse. No, because it's fucking stupid. And half of you lesbians are probably going to try to pick up on my girlfriend anyway. Ultimately, it's just like, when do we start making Pride discourse?
That's so true, dude. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I haven't seen really many people talking about straight women at these events. And I think that actually speaks to a wider misogynistic thing where a lot of people just assume all women are gay to some extent. And it's like, no, there are straight as a fucking board women that are dating bisexual men. I've never personally dated a straight woman. All my girlfriends have, all my exes and every relationship I've ever been in, they've always been bisexual women. But, it's like, there are bisexual men that have straight girlfriends. So at that point, it's like, what do you like? Nobody's asking them to leave because all the people there probably assume to some extent she's probably the gay one. And it kind of goes back to that thing, like, I guess they view straight men as being like dangerous and a threat to the event. But that's not very progressive or helpful discourse in that regard, because then it's like they're either bi or they're there to show support for their bisexual girlfriend. Or pansexual, whatever term you want to use.
When has it ever been, like, exclusionary? We are always supposed to be inclusive. And also, there's so many straight-passing gay people out there, dude. Like, there are gay men that work jobs like construction, they're mechanics, soldiers, stuff like that. They're normally straight-passing professions. But they're still gay. And again, it's just like, what is your end goal here? Is your end goal a checkpoint at the beginning where you have to prove how gay you are to enter Pride? Because, like, that's not what Pride is at all.
Very well said. That guy is Drew Parker 2K. Oh, that's an interesting one. Someone said I'm ace, so asexual, and I've seen so many people say we're not really part of the LGBT. And Pride isn't for us, so I don't go to any events. That's kind of fucked up. No, you're definitely part of the LGBT community. I think the LGBT community, LGBTQ plus. I don't know how I feel about the word queer being in that, because the word queer used to be a gay slur, and I guess it's been reclaimed. I guess it's fine. It always like catches me off guard. It's like it's like when your teacher's reading Huckleberry Finn. Like once you hear the word, you're like anytime I hear someone say queer in a progressive, normal way, it always takes me aback, because I've been called a queer as a slur, as well as I've been called the F word before. So like any time I hear the word queer, it like sends a little jolt through my spine, because I have to remember like, oh yeah, this is a term that people use now as like a normal term. It's just so funny to hear it though. But I feel like, yeah, like if you're asexual, you should be allowed to go to Pride events. Obviously, pansexual people are allowed to go. They're part of the plus. Asexual people are also part of the plus, though. Or ace people are also part of the plus. Are non-binary people considered, like, LGBT? I would feel like they are, right? Aren't you technically trans at that point? Like, even if you... Because I don't know what, like, medical procedure you'd even go through for non-binary. Not that a medical procedure is even required to be trans. I mean, you can identify as something different and not have the medical procedure. But, like, I would assume non-binary people fall under the trans category, right? Unless they have their own letter, like NB. Yeah, get it? NB? I guess they'd be NBs. I don't know. I don't know the terms. I would consider all of it LGBTQ+. I would say straight, cis people are not a part of the LGBT community, but they can be allies to the community and they can go to Pride events. So that's what I'm saying. Someone said, not my bi husband being both a soldier and a mechanic. Exactly. In safe spaces, I am a non-binary pansexual with a bisexual husband. We also happen to look so straight. Exactly. I ended my friendship with someone because of that. They told me I'm not welcome to Pride because I'm straight, or to goth prom because I'm not emotionally damaged. But they let their other friend go. The goth prom one's pretty funny to throw in there. That's funny. Yeah, there's so much like unhelpful discourse. Just reminder, everybody, LGBT people can be wrong too. If there are people in that community saying that you shouldn't go to Pride events because you're not gay enough, or you don't present LGBT or something like that, if they're saying you can't go to Pride, they're wrong. If you're an ally to the community, if you have friends, if you have significant others, if you have family that are in the LGBT community, I think it's okay to go to Pride as a straight cis person. If you're straight and you don't have any of those connections and you're going to Pride, I guess it's still fine. Yeah, if you're just going there to like rep the shit and like be an ally to the community, I think it's still fine. You know, I think it's okay as long as you're respectful and you recognize it's a safe space for those type of people, and you aren't like causing issues or anything. I think it's totally okay. If you're going there to be a nuisance, I think that's when you're crossing the line. That's when you're like, all right, go fuck yourself, get out of here. Like if you're going there, like I think one group of people that piss me off are the people that go to these events and they're straight cis and they are only there to like interview people. Like the like gotcha TikTok type of interviews. I think that shit's so stupid. I hate that shit. Here's a good example. Hassan Piker went to a Pride event with Austin Show. Austin Show's gay. Hassan is straight. But he went with him to Pride. It's and Austin wanted him to go. It's a solidarity thing, an ally thing. He was there for his friend Austin. So there you go. Mr. Show. But I would go to a Pride event. I don't know of any that are happening. I think there's one in Atlanta. But Atlanta's just such a chore to go to. It's so like hard to get up there, and then you got to pay for parking, and then I don't know. It's just such a chore. I don't know how to even navigate that kind of thing. I don't know where to even find out about that. I'm sure there's a Pride event in Atlanta. Atlanta's a very progressive city. It's a very liberal city. They'll be progressive and then in the same breath be like, I'm gonna go torch this homeless man under the bridge. Be right back. Like crossing the rainbow crosswalk full of pride and then spitting on a homeless man that's in front of a sub shop. That's the Atlanta vibe for you. But a little bit of shade towards the libs. Am I right? Speaking of Atlanta, I want to shout out this guy. He made a really good video that I never even knew about this. He talks about like the history of downtown Atlanta and why it's the way that it is now. And I mean, shit, dog. It's a good ass video. What's going on with the UI?
The terminology of
whoa. Yeah, this guy made a really good video about downtown Atlanta. What happened to downtown Atlanta? He goes into why this entire district has shifted towards what it is now, like with the Olympic Park and all the fucking bullshit that they've built over here is like little tourist attractions, and how it's completely shafted the other parts of the city. This guy made a really interesting video about that. You should go check it out. It's really informative. It's really interesting, to be honest. This map is so confusing. He says underground Atlanta's right here. Is that true? Because if that's over here, then underground oh my god, is it really? Oh my god, is it really that far away from... But the highway's here. I'm so confused. Oh, the highway's over here. What the fuck is this? Ugh. That's what I mean. The city sucks. I went to the World Congress Center recently for MomoCon. We had to like park in the fucking back alley parking lot near the stadium, and it was really annoying. Oh, this is an old ass map because the Georgia Dome is right there. Bro pulled out that old ass map. This video's not even that old. Anyway, shout out to this video. Sorry, I'm a big cartography nerd. But yeah, this guy made a really good video about Atlanta. Goes over the history. God damn. The history of the architecture there and why the buildings are built the way they are and who's responsible for it. And like what happened to the homeless population during the Olympic era. Like how the city basically bust all the homeless people out of there and shoved them into a different part of the city. So that, we would have a good aesthetic for the Olympic Games. Our city wasn't viewed as just a big homeless population center. We tore down public housing, creating more homeless people, just to make way for the Olympic Park and all that. Really fucked up shit. So go watch that video. It's really interesting. It's called What Happened to Downtown Atlanta by Nathan Davenport. Guy's really cool. God, I'm hungry. I just ate. What the hell's going on? Dude, what did I eat? I had a piece of lemon bread, and I'm over here wondering why I'm hungry. Am I stupid? So some last little things before I go. Over on the main channel, the @DaneMakesMusic channel, I've been streaming Minecraft modded for the last 2 months, almost 3 months. And we're up to 28 episodes so far. The latest one was where I fought the Wither about 5 times, and survived, surprisingly. So I said in the 27th episode that the plan is that the series will come to a close on the 32nd episode. So the next episode will probably be around, like, centering around the witchcraft mod that we have, the Bewitchment mod. After that, we'll probably do another Herobrine episode, then just like a general doing stuff in the mod pack episode, and then the finale. So that's coming to a close. And then in addition to that, I'm going to probably do a video where I talk about the mod that I've been developing. I've been developing a Minecraft mod for 1.20.1 called Yude's Collection. And here's like the wiki page for it on my website. I got to change that with the new update to the mod, but it adds like music discs and an ore and like new tools and all that. So go check that out. It's a Minecraft mod. It runs off Forge. It used to support Fabric, but there's just too many elements that Fabric doesn't really support without adding a shitload of APIs. So, for right now, it's going to have to just be Forge only. But in the future, I might update the mod to 1.20.4. It just depends. But, yeah, so that's the mod I've been developing. And I'll make a video going into more detail about it. Once I feel like it's at a state where I feel comfortable, making an all-encompassing video about it, where I feel like the mod is done for the time being before I release another massive update and update it to version 2. So anyways, or version 1, or no, yeah, I guess it would be version 2, right? No, 1 point something, I don't know. So, all right, that'll be it for this episode. Hope y'all enjoyed. Happy Pride Month. If you're LGBTQ+, I hope you're having lots of fun. I know there's a lot of horrible shit going on in the country towards the specifically the trans community, but the gays and the bis and everybody are catching some strays here and there from it. But I hope you have a happy Pride. I hope you find a good space and a good group to hang out with and to communicate with that's accepting of you and everything. And keep putting those pronouns in bio. So anyways, that'll be it. Thanks for watching. We're on Spotify. We're on Patreon. If you want to support us, we're on Patreon. And that'll be it. So, yeah. All right. Bye-bye.